That gesture that he just made right there is for a man of normal height. And I had a division commander named Steve Arnold, and we were talking upstairs with a gentleman who served at the same time I was in 10th Mountain Division with Steve Arnold as division commander. And he had to do the same thing because he followed a tall guy. And he said, well, for a man of normal height. Now, you'd ask, why would I remember somebody I met 12 years ago? And when you're a man, a brigadier general of normal height, and you're engaging with tall subordinates like this guy right here, you remember that. I mean, it's just a thing. All right. Thank you very much for being here. And it is my privilege to stand beside Bryan Lentz, because you ask yourself three questions. Why the Democratic Party? Why a veteran for the Democratic seat? And why Bryan Lentz? So why, in that order, why am I going down that path? I was raised in a family with frankly, Dwight Eisenhower Republicans. My grandfather was a conservative Democrat from Weatherford, Oklahoma, and my father was a career Air Force pilot, and my little brother's name was Dwight, and born in 1953, so it kind of shows a little bit. But that Republican Party does not exist today. And parties, political parties, change over time. And the Democratic Party today is far more like that party that got so much done in the mid-50s that I have very fond memories about. So I believe that I want, and this is, I'm not trying to be partisan here, but I want the very best for my country. And I believe that right now that we're going down that path with the Democratic Party and some of the policies that I see. As a father of soldiers, it is in my personal interest and in my family's interest to have veterans serving in elected office. It is in our personal family interest and the nation's interest to have veterans working to call the shots on where we send the youth of America to fight and win the nation's wars. We have had a problem in the last decade where we have gone on operations that are not necessarily in support of vital national interests. And it's the absence, I believe, of veterans who truly understand the implications of armed conflict, who truly understand in direct view what Shannon has talked about and what Bryan has talked about. And I'm going to share a personal story. Shannon was very seriously injured by an IED because any number of factors on the battlefield. My son, my younger son, is okay because he was in a vehicle that Secretary Gates made sure was going to happen for the United States Army. So an event that happened to my son in June, where an IED blew up under his vehicle, my son walked away from that. And it's because guys like Joe Biden and the administration that we have right now have taken what Rumsfeld said, you go to war with the army you have, which is actually a true statement. But the next thing that you have to say is you will go to the army that you need. And that's what this administration is making sure happens. So that's why I want veterans in Congress. Finally, Bryan Lentz, I do remember the man from Bosnia. I do remember the event. I have seen what he has done since, and it's classic veteran activity. You take a sharp guy from the Army, you send him to law school, he becomes a prosecutor, and not just a prosecutor, but a tough one. And where he's carrying on doing the nation's bidding right here. And I would like to see that go national, and I would very much like to see Bryan Lentz elected. So I'm watching it, I'm carrying it. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you. thank you all very much for coming. You're free to mingle now.